It feels like a dream. A bad one where you wake up gasping for breath but nothing changes. It's still there, an unrelenting ache in my chest. This isn't the life I thought I would have at 45. No, at 45, I thought I'd be living my best years. Instead, I sit here alone, an empty house echoing around me. A once full house with laughter, love, and a little girl who grew up to be the one to break me. My name is Mia, and this is my story. It was a sunny Tuesday when I got the call. The doctor's voice on the other end was cold, professional, too professional, as if he had done this 100 times and had already detached from the weight of his words. "We've found a mass. It's malignant." I didn't hear the rest. I felt the ground beneath me disappear. It felt like a dream. No, a nightmare. And yet this nightmare didn't have the decency to let me wake up. It was real, and there was nothing I could do to change it. I sat there in my kitchen, holding the phone to my ear, staring at the half-empty coffee mug in front of me. I could hear my daughter's voice from the living room, her laughter echoing through the house. Olivia, my baby, the one I've always protected, always cherished. But that was before cancer, before everything changed. A week later, I told her. I had to. She was 25, strong, independent, but still my daughter. I didn't expect her to act the way she did. I didn't expect the coldness, the silence that followed. "Mom, I just can't handle this right now," Olivia said, her eyes avoiding mine, her voice barely above a whisper. "What do you mean? Olivia, I need you," I said, my voice breaking, the tears threatening to fall. She shook her head, arms crossed tight across her chest. "I don't know what you want me to say, Mom. I just can't watch you go through this." She didn't even hug me. She didn't even try to comfort me. She just left. I stood there, stunned. My baby, my only daughter, turned her back on me when I needed her the most. The pain was unbearable, but I didn't cry, not in front of her. Instead, I watched her walk out the door, her silhouette disappearing in the distance, and my world fell apart. The days that followed felt like a blur. I continued with my treatments, the chemotherapy, the nausea, the fatigue. But that wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was waking up every morning to an empty house, to a home that felt foreign. Olivia's room, once full of energy, now sat untouched. I tried to call her, text her, anything, but it was always the same. "I'm busy, Mom. I'll call you later." But later never came. The days stretched into weeks, and the loneliness crept in deeper. I started to question everything. Was I such a bad mother? Was it my fault? I had always been there for her, always made sure she had everything she needed. And yet, in her moment of needing me most, she rejected me. I couldn't understand it. Why would she do this? My own daughter, my flesh and blood, couldn't find it in herself to be there for me. It was a Friday when I saw the post. Olivia out at a club, laughing with friends, her arms wrapped around a man who wasn't her father. She looked happy without me. I clicked on the photo, my heart pounding in my chest. It was like a punch to the gut. The comment section was full of heart emojis, "Looking great, live," and other shallow praises from people I didn't even know. But the worst part was that Olivia seemed to be moving on so easily. She was living her life while I sat here, in this empty house, battling a disease that was slowly taking everything from me. I had to know what was going on. I had to get answers. So I did what I had to do. I reached out. I texted her that night. I poured my heart into it, telling her everything, how much I missed her, how much I needed her, how her rejection had torn me apart. I wasn't looking for pity. I wasn't asking for sympathy. All I wanted was for her to understand, for her to come back. Her response came hours later, short, cold, almost robotic. "I'm sorry, Mom. I can't deal with this right now. I need space." And just like that, my daughter, the one I had loved so fiercely, so unconditionally, was gone. Gone, just like that. I didn't know what to do anymore. The rejection was too much to bear. And as I sat there in the silence of my empty home, my phone buzzed. I looked down. It was a message from Olivia. But this one was different. It wasn't the usual apology. It was a warning. "You need to stop. Just let it go. It's better this way." And for the first time since all of this started, a fire ignited inside me. What did she mean by that? Was she threatening me? I didn't know, but I sure as hell wasn't going to let her get away with it. What do you think? Would you do the same in my shoes? Let me know in the comments below. This is just the beginning of my story, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Subscribe for more. This journey is just beginning. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? The words Olivia sent still echoed in my mind like a haunting melody that wouldn't fade. You need to stop. Just let it go. It's better this way. Better for whom, Olivia? You or me? I tried to shake off the anger, but it wrapped around me like a thick, suffocating fog. I tried to be strong. I had to be. But something inside me was breaking. The betrayal, the silence. It was all too much. This wasn't just about cancer anymore. No, this was about losing my daughter and the woman I thought I was. The days blurred into one another. The chemotherapy sessions became routine. I had a rhythm now: show up, get poked, feel sick, go home. But it wasn't the physical pain that got to me. It was the isolation. The emotional toll was far worse than the physical. Ryan, my husband, tried to comfort me, but he didn't understand. He couldn't. He wasn't the one lying awake at night, wondering why the one person I had always fought for was now the one who refused to fight for me. "How's it going today, babe?" Ryan asked as he sat down next to me one evening, a concerned look on his face. "It's fine," I said, too tired to fight him off. I didn't want him to see how much this was breaking me. "Olivia," he asked gently, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't answer right away. How could I? How could I explain what it felt like to be rejected by my own daughter? "She's not calling, not texting, not even trying," I finally muttered, staring at the floor. "She's moved on." Ryan paused, not sure what to say. He didn't understand. He couldn't. How could he? But what hurt the most was the fact that I had started to believe him. Olivia had moved on. She had left me behind. I needed a distraction. So I went through some old photo albums. I hadn't done this in years, but something inside me longed to see the real Olivia again. The little girl who would run to me, arms wide, after a long day at school. The girl who once held my hand as we walked through the park, asking me questions about life, about love, about everything. I came across an old picture of us. Olivia was 5, and I was holding her in my arms at Disneyland. Her big brown eyes were full of wonder, and her smile was pure, untainted by the bitterness of adulthood. That was my daughter. That was the Olivia I had raised, not this stranger who wouldn't even acknowledge me now. Tears welled up in my eyes as I stared at that picture. I wanted to turn back time, to go back to that day, but I knew I couldn't. Days turned into weeks, and each day felt like an eternity. I waited for Olivia's call, her message, anything, but there was nothing, not even a flicker of hope. Ryan tried everything. He called her, sent texts, even went to her apartment, but all he got was the same response: "I can't do this right now." I started to wonder if I was even worthy of forgiveness. What had I done wrong? I had always been there for her, always. But then came the phone call, the one that changed everything. It was a late evening. The lights dimmed in our living room as I tried to find peace in the stillness of the house. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I saw her name. Olivia. I took a deep breath, picked up the phone, and answered. "Olivia." The line was quiet for a moment before she spoke, her voice distant and cold. "Mom, I can't. I don't know how to handle this." I held my breath, hopping for something, anything. "Olivia, I need you. I'm dying, sweetheart." The words hit harder than I expected, but they were true, and I needed her to know that. I needed her to understand how much this was hurting me, how much I had fought for her, through everything. "I know, Mom, I know." Her voice cracked. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm scared. I'm scared of losing you." Her words were a punch to the gut, but it wasn't just the words. It was the pain behind them. I could hear the guilt, the regret, the fear in her voice. She was scared, but not enough to come home. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask her, "Why don't you come back? Why don't you love me enough to stay?" But I didn't. Instead, I whispered, "I need you, Olivia, more than ever." She didn't respond. Not with words. Instead, she hung up. And I was left sitting there, the phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the empty static. But there was something about the silence that shook me. It wasn't just emptiness. It felt like a promise that something was about to change. A knock on the door, soft but unmistakable. I got up, my heart racing. Who could it be? Ryan, a neighbor. I walked to the door slowly, feeling my pulse pounding in my ears. When I opened it, I froze. Standing there in the doorway was Olivia, but she wasn't alone. What do you think? Would you have let her back in after everything? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because this journey is far from over. You won't want to miss what happens next. The door creaked open, and there she was, Olivia, my daughter, standing there in front of me, looking more like a stranger than the girl I raised. And beside her, a man I'd never seen before. My heart skipped a beat. This wasn't the reunion I had imagined. The phone call, the long, drawn-out conversation where Olivia had hung up on me just an hour earlier, it all seemed like a bad dream. Now, standing in front of me was reality. I had to fight the urge to slam the door, but something inside me told me to listen, to understand. Maybe this was my chance to hear the truth I had been waiting for, the truth I had been denied for so long. Olivia stepped into the house cautiously, almost like she wasn't sure she belonged here. I didn't know what to say, but she did. Mom, I know I've hurt you, and I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I had to come. Her voice was soft, but it carried the weight of everything she hadn't said. I didn't move. I just stood there, staring at her, searching her face for any sign of the girl I once knew. Why, Olivia? Why did you push me away? Why did you leave me to face this alone? I asked, my voice shaking with emotion. I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the answer, but I needed to. Olivia took a deep breath. She sat down on the couch, and the man beside her remained standing, a silent presence in the room. I didn't know who he was, and I wasn't sure I cared just yet. I was scared, Mom, she said, her voice breaking. Scared of losing you, of seeing you in pain. I didn't know how to handle it, and every time I looked at you, I felt this emptiness inside me. I couldn't be the daughter you needed, so I shut down. The words hit harder than I ever imagined. She hadn't just distanced herself from me, she had been running from me, running from the fear of watching me die. And in doing so, she had left me alone in the worst possible way. I could feel the anger bubbling inside me, but I held it back. I didn't want to lash out, not now, not when she was finally here. But there was something I had to know, something that had been eating at me since the moment she rejected me. Who is he? I asked, pointing to the man sitting quietly beside her. He looked to be in his late 20s, clean-cut, with dark brown hair and a neatly trimmed beard. He wore a plain t-shirt and jeans, not at all like the type of person I thought Olivia would be with. Olivia looked at him and then back at me, her eyes flickering with a mix of uncertainty and guilt. His name is Jason. He's been helping me, Mom, helping me get through everything. He's been a good friend. A good friend, that didn't sit right with me. A good friend, I repeated, my voice sharper than I intended. Olivia, don't lie to me. I've been your mother for 25 years. I know when you're hiding something. Jason cleared his throat, standing up from the couch. I understand, ma'am. I'm just here to support Olivia. She needed someone. I glanced at him, but I wasn't looking at him anymore. I was looking at Olivia. I could see it in her eyes, the guilt, the regret. She wasn't just talking about fear anymore. There was something deeper, something she hadn't shared with me yet. What aren't you telling me, Olivia? I asked, my voice low and steady, though my heart raced in my chest. She took a long pause, her eyes darting away from mine. Mom, Jason is more than just a friend. He's my boyfriend. The words hit like a slap in the face. Boyfriend. My daughter, the one who had pushed me away for months, had moved on, not just with her life, but with someone else. And here I was, still clinging to the memories of us, of the bond we once shared. But to her, it was just another part of the past. I didn't want to tell you, Mom. I didn't want you to think I was abandoning you for him, but I was so lost. So confused about everything, she whispered, her eyes welling up with tears. I thought that if I kept my distance, if I didn't have to watch you get worse every day, it would be easier for both of us. But it was. I see now that I made a huge mistake. I sat down, my legs shaking beneath me. I had never felt so vulnerable, so small. The woman who had spent years taking care of everyone around her, who had always fought for what she loved, was now the one sitting in front of her daughter, hopping for answers that might never come. Ryan walked into the room at that moment, his presence a reminder that I wasn't alone in this. But even he seemed unsure of how to act. "We're here, Mia," he said gently, placing his hand on my shoulder. "This is a lot. Let's just take a moment." But I wasn't sure I could take a moment. I was too raw, too exposed. The anger, the hurt, it was overwhelming. Olivia sat across from me, Jason by her side, their eyes full of regret. And I realized in that moment that nothing was going to be the same again. My daughter had come back, but she had come back with secrets. And those secrets were only the beginning. As I stared at her, I saw something that hadn't been there before. A glimmer of hope, yes, but also a growing sense of mystery. There was more to this story, and I was about to uncover it. But was I ready to know the truth? And then the phone rang, breaking the tension in the room. I didn't know it then, but that call would change everything. Would you have been able to forgive your child after something like this? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and stick with me. This journey is far from over. We're just getting started. It's funny how quickly things can change. One moment, you're sitting in your living room, hopping for reconciliation. The next, you're buried under a pile of emotions, secrets, and questions you didn't ask for, but now can't stop seeking the answers to. Olivia was here, finally, after all the pain, the rejection. And yet, even though we spoke, even though there were tears, I could still feel the walls between us. The trust we once shared, gone, shattered. And now, it was time for me to take control. After Olivia's confession, Jason stayed mostly quiet. It was as if he was trying to stay out of the way, giving Olivia space to talk to me, but I could see the tension between them. He seemed protective, almost possessive, like someone who knew there were things left unsaid. But the only thing I cared about was what Olivia wasn't telling me. I watched her closely. There was something in her eyes, a flicker of hesitation. She hadn't told me everything. I could feel it. "Olivia," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "you've told me about your fears, your doubts. But there's something you're not saying. You're not just afraid of losing me, you're afraid of something else, aren't you?" She looked at me, her lips pressed tightly together. For a moment, she didn't respond. Then, almost too quietly to hear, she whispered, "It's not just about you, Mom. It's about me, too. I didn't know how to deal with what I saw, the way Dad's been acting." My heart skipped a beat. "Ryan," I asked, "what are you talking about?" Olivia shifted uncomfortably, glancing at Jason before answering. "There's more, Mom. There's a lot more I haven't told you." It was all coming together now, but I still didn't have the full picture. My mind raced as I tried to put the pieces together. Olivia's sudden detachment, her coldness toward me, it wasn't just about me being sick. There was something about Ryan that had triggered her, something she wasn't ready to face. "Olivia, please," I urged, my voice growing more desperate. "What are you afraid of? Tell me the truth." She hesitated again before finally looking me in the eyes. "It's Ryan. He's been acting strange, like he's hiding something, and I didn't want to believe it, but now I can't ignore it anymore." My stomach dropped. Ryan, what could he possibly be hiding? My husband, the man I had shared everything with, how could he be involved in this? "What are you talking about? What is he hiding?" I demanded, my heart pounding in my chest. Olivia reached into her bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She handed it to me without a word. I unfolded it slowly, unsure of what I was about to read. But as soon as I saw the first line, I froze. The letter was from a law firm, a divorce lawyer, and it was signed by Ryan. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I felt the room closing in on me. I looked at Olivia, but the words wouldn't come. I couldn't process what I was reading. Divorce, my husband. "Olivia, this can't be real," I whispered, shaking my head in disbelief. "Ryan would never. He wouldn't." "He would, Mom," Olivia interrupted, her voice barely above a whisper. He's been planning this for months. I tried to tell you, but you were so focused on the cancer on us that I didn't want to make things worse. But it's true. He's been seeing someone else. I felt like the world was spinning beneath me. Ryan was seeing someone else. Was this why Olivia had pulled away? Was she protecting me from the truth all this time? Or was this her way of pushing me even further away, further into the pain of betrayal? I don't know what to say, I said, the shock of it all taking over. I thought we were okay. We were supposed to be okay. How could he do this? You need to confront him, Mom, Olivia urged softly, her eyes full of concern. You can't let him do this to you. He's been lying, and you deserve to know the truth. I looked at Olivia, her face so full of sincerity, and for the first time in weeks I felt like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't alone. But how much of this was her guilt? Was she hiding something else? Was she still keeping secrets from me? As the night wore on, Jason eventually left, but Olivia stayed behind. She had insisted we talk, and now, as I looked at her, I realized something. She was offering me a chance. A chance for closure, for control, for revenge. I couldn't just sit there and do nothing. Ryan had betrayed me, but more than that, he had betrayed Olivia too. She had trusted him, and I had trusted him. But if Olivia's words were true, if Ryan had been planning this for months, then he had been deceiving both of us for far too long. I'm not letting him get away with this, I said, my voice low and fierce. I've been the one to hold this family together, and if he thinks he can just walk away like this, he's wrong. Olivia nodded slowly, a flicker of approval in her eyes. So, what do we do now? I leaned back, my mind already working through the details. I'm going to make him face the consequences of what he's done. But it's not just about me, Olivia. It's about us, about showing him that we don't need him, and we're going to make sure he understands that. The plan was simple, but dark. And it was the only thing that gave me a sense of power after everything that had happened. Ryan had hurt us both, and now it was time for him to feel that pain. But the question was, would I be able to go through with it? Just as I was about to lay out the full plan, my phone buzzed again. This time the text came from Ryan. My hands trembled as I opened it. The message was short, to the point. We need to talk. Meet me tomorrow at 3. My heart skipped. Was he finally going to face what he had done? Or was this part of the game? I didn't know, but I was ready to find out. Do you think Ryan has a good explanation for his actions, or is it too late for him to redeem himself? Let me know in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe for more, because things are about to get even more complicated. The message from Ryan had been simple. We need to talk. Meet me tomorrow at 3. But the weight of it was anything but simple. It hung in the air like a dark cloud, looming over everything I did. What was he going to say? Was this his last-ditch attempt at saving face? Or was he ready to face the consequences of his betrayal? I couldn't let my emotions get the best of me. I had a plan, and I was going to stick to it. No matter what he said, no matter what we said. This was my moment, the moment I took back control of my life. I woke up the next day with a sense of purpose that felt foreign to me. I hadn't felt this strong in weeks. My treatment had been draining, and the thought of facing Ryan after everything felt like a weight I couldn't bear. But today, I wasn't the broken woman waiting for a phone call or a text. Today, I was the woman ready to fight. I spent the morning packing my living room, preparing myself mentally for the confrontation. I couldn't help but replay everything, every little moment that led me here. The cancer, the betrayal, the silence from Olivia, the lies Ryan had fed me for months. It all came crashing down on me, but I wasn't going to let it break me. I dressed carefully, picking an outfit that made me feel strong, not fragile. I needed to look like I had it all together, like I was in control, even if I was. Ryan had no idea what was coming. At 2:45, I pulled into the parking lot of the coffee shop where Ryan had asked to meet. My hands were sweating, my heart was pounding in my chest, but I stayed calm. I wasn't going to let him see how badly he had affected me. When I saw him standing by the door, looking around nervously, a spark of satisfaction flickered inside me. He was clearly as uneasy as I was. He had no idea what was waiting for him. Ryan, I said, walking up to him, my voice steady but cold. I'm here, so let's talk. He turned toward me, a forced smile on his face that didn't quite reach his eyes. Mia, thank you for coming, he said, but there was something about his tone that didn't feel genuine. He was already on the defensive, and that told me everything I needed to know. I followed him inside, sitting down across from him. He ordered coffee, but I couldn't bring myself to drink anything. Not until I had answers. Not until I had a reason for why everything had fallen apart. Ryan didn't waste any time. I know things have been difficult, he began, running his fingers through his hair, his gaze shifting uncomfortably. But I want to make things right. I let out a humorless laugh. Make things right? How? How do you make this right, Ryan? I motioned between us, the words hanging heavy in the air. You've lied to me. You've betrayed me in ways I can't even begin to understand. Ryan's face hardened. Mia, you're not understanding. No, I cut him off, my voice rising, the frustration building up inside me. You don't get to say that. You don't get to tell me how I should feel. You walked away from me, from us. You've been seeing someone else. And now you want to make it right? What, you think I'm just going to forgive you because you say you're sorry? Ryan's face flushed, but he didn't speak. Instead, he just looked down at his hands, shifting in his seat. Mia, I leaned forward, my voice cutting through the silence. No, Ryan, you don't get to speak. Not until you tell me the truth. Why? Why did you do it? He looked up at me, guilt flashing in his eyes. I don't know, Mia. I've been lost. This whole situation, your illness. I didn't know how to handle it. I was terrified of losing you. And then I met her. Her name's Sarah. She made me feel, I don't know, normal, like I wasn't drowning. But that's not an excuse. I'm sorry. I stared at him, my mind reeling. This wasn't what I had expected to hear. This wasn't just a simple affair. This was a man running away from his own demons, his own fears, and in doing so, he had destroyed everything we had built, everything I had believed in. I stood up abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. You don't get to make excuses, Ryan. You made your choice. You betrayed me. And now you want me to forgive you because you're sorry? I'm sorry, but that's not enough. Ryan reached out, grabbing my wrist as I started to turn away. Mia, please, don't walk away from this. We can fix this. We can work it out. I wrenched my arm away from his grip. No, Ryan, we can't fix this. Not anymore. I walked toward the door, my mind racing. I couldn't stay here. I couldn't listen to him anymore. But as I reached for the handle, Ryan's voice stopped me in my tracks. You're right, he said, his voice raw, vulnerable. I can't fix this, but I want to try. I know I've messed up. I know I've hurt you, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But if there's any chance at all that we can rebuild, I'll fight for you. I'll fight for us. For a brief moment, I felt a twinge of something like hope, but I shoved it down deep inside. I couldn't let him get away with this. Not anymore. I walked out of the coffee shop, the cool air hitting me like a slap to the face. I had just faced Ryan, just heard the truth from his own lips. But even now, standing on the street corner, I didn't know what to think. Was there room for forgiveness? Could I ever trust him again? I didn't know. All I knew was that I had taken back some control. I had stood up for myself, and that felt good. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like the victim. I wasn't going to let him destroy me. As I stood there, trying to collect my thoughts, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, expecting a message from Olivia, maybe an apology. But instead, I saw something that made my blood run cold. It was a message from an unknown number. I know what you're planning, Mia, and if you think you can take him down, you're wrong. You have no idea what you're up against. I froze. Who could it be? Who was threatening me now? What do you think Mia should do now? Should she give Ryan another chance or move on for good? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss what happens next. I thought I had seen the worst of it. Ryan's betrayal, Olivia's rejection, my own cancer diagnosis. It all felt like one big nightmare I couldn't wake up from. But that text message, I know what you're planning, Mia. And if you think you can take him down, you're wrong. You have no idea what you're up against. That was something new, something I didn't understand. Who was this? And why did they think they could intimidate me? I wasn't going to let it slide. Not now. Not after everything I'd been through. If someone thought they could scare me off, they had another thing coming. The next day, Ryan called again, his voice full of desperation. Mia, please. We need to talk about what happened. I know I messed up, but I'm willing to do anything to make it right. I had heard enough of his excuses. The only thing I wanted now was answers. We've talked enough, Ryan, I replied, my tone ice cold. But we're not done, not by a long shot. You don't get to walk away from this unscathed. Please, Mia, he begged. I'm sorry, I've made mistakes, but I want to fix this. I love you, and I'll do anything to prove it. His words felt hollow, as though they were coming from someone I didn't recognize. Maybe I had loved him once, but love had betrayed me. And now, I had no interest in being the victim anymore. I don't care about your apologies, I said, my voice growing sharper with each word. You've already destroyed everything, Ryan, and now I'm going to make you feel the weight of it. Ryan's face twisted in confusion. What do you mean? You'll see, I said with finality, standing up. You'll see exactly what it feels like to have everything you've built come crashing down. Later that day, I went to my lawyer's office. I had already made up my mind. I wasn't going to let Ryan get away with his lies, his betrayal, or the years of manipulation. I needed a plan that would make him regret the day he ever crossed me. Are you sure you want to do this? My lawyer asked, concern in her eyes as I laid out my case. Going public with this, involving the divorce lawyers, it could be messy. I don't care, I replied firmly. Let it be messy. Let him feel what I've felt. He's not the only one who can play this game. My lawyer nodded, understanding the fire burning inside me. All right, let's get to work. As I left the lawyer's office, a sense of determination filled me. I was done being the victim. I was done waiting. It was time for Ryan to face the consequences of his actions, and I was going to make sure of it. But there was still one thing I needed to address. One more person I needed to confront. That evening, I met Jason at a local bar. Olivia wasn't with him, and he looked at me nervously as I approached. Ms. Mia, I didn't expect to see you here, he said, his voice guarded. I didn't waste time with pleasantries. What's going on, Jason? Olivia told me some things about you that don't add up. Are you involved in all this? Jason's eyes flickered, but he quickly masked it with a calm demeanor. I don't know what Olivia's been telling you, but I'm not involved in anything. I care about her, Mia. I just want to protect her. I leaned forward, my gaze piercing into him. Then why is someone texting me, warning me that I don't know what I'm up against? Why did you lie to Olivia? You're not just a bystander in all this, Jason. You've been playing a dangerous game, and I want answers. Jason's face tightened, his jaw clenching as if he were holding back something important. For a moment, I thought he was going to say something, but instead, he just shook his head. You don't want to get involved in this, Mia, he said, his voice low, almost pleading. It's bigger than you think. You think you can tear Ryan down? You have no idea who's behind this. I narrowed my eyes, but before I could respond, he stood up, dropping a business card on the table. Don't say I didn't warn you, he said coldly before walking away. I stared at the card in my hand, confusion and fear rising in my chest. Who was behind this, and what did they want from me? As I looked at the business card, I felt the unease spread through me. It was a name, Mason Carlyle, a name I didn't recognize. Beneath it, in bold letters, "Don't make me come after you." Who was Mason Carlyle, and what was his connection to all of this? What do you think? Who's really behind this? And what's Jason hiding? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe, because we're only just beginning to uncover the truth. Every plan has its consequences. Every action a ripple. But sometimes, the ripples build into waves, and those waves crash down on everything you thought you knew. I thought I was prepared. I thought I had it all under control. But the moment I laid eyes on that business card, Mason Carlyle, I realized the game I was playing was much bigger than I ever imagined. And the person I had been trying to bring down, he wasn't the real enemy. The real enemy was much closer than I thought. After Jason's cryptic warning, I couldn't sleep. The unease gnawed at me, gnawing through every moment of peace I tried to have. Mason Carlyle. The name lingered in my mind like a curse, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was in over my head. I had spent so long focused on Ryan, on him and his betrayal, that I had failed to realize that this wasn't just about our marriage anymore. This was about something much deeper, something that involved people I couldn't even begin to understand. The next morning, I called Olivia. I had to know if she knew anything about Mason Carlyle, if she had heard that name before. But as usual, she was distant. She didn't want to talk, and every time I asked about Jason, she clammed up, shutting down. I had no choice but to dig deeper on my own. I spent the day researching Mason Carlyle. I scoured the internet, looking for anything that could connect him to Ryan, to Olivia, to Jason. But every lead I followed only led to dead ends. It was like Mason Carlyle didn't exist, and that made me even more paranoid. If someone went to such lengths to cover their tracks, it meant they didn't want to be found. I reached out to a private investigator I had used in the past. "I need to know who Mason Carlyle is," I said, my voice cold and sharp. "And I need it yesterday." The pie was hesitant, but he knew better than to argue with me. I had always been thorough in my plans, and I was done with guessing. I spent the rest of the day trying to keep my mind off things, but every time my phone buzzed, my heart skipped a beat. Was it Ryan, Olivia, or worse, someone else trying to warn me off? When the pie finally called back, I held my breath as he spoke. "Mason Carlyle is a name tied to a series of private financial dealings. It's not all public record, but he's linked to some very powerful people. People who don't like to be crossed." I felt a cold chill run down my spine. Powerful people. What had I gotten myself into? Later that evening, I knew I had to confront Jason again. This time, there were no games, no more dancing around the truth. I needed answers, and I was going to get them, one way or another. I found him at the same bar, sitting at a corner booth, looking like he was waiting for someone. His eyes flickered nervously as I approached, but this time I didn't hesitate. I sat down across from him without saying a word. "Is this the part where you pretend like you don't know what's going on?" I asked. My voice calm, but filled with an intensity that made him stiffen. Jason's eyes flickered between me and the door, as if he was looking for an escape. "Mia, you need to drop this," he said, his voice low, almost pleading. "You don't know what you're dealing with." "I know exactly what I'm dealing with," I shot back. "I know about Mason Carlyle, and I know you've been hiding something, so why don't you stop pretending, Jason? You think I don't see it. You think I'm just some naive woman you can walk all over." Jason's face hardened. "You don't know what you're saying," he said, his voice rising. "You don't know the stakes. If you push this any further, you'll regret it." "Regret it?" I scoffed. "I regret letting you into my life, into Olivia's life. But I'm done with being afraid. If you think I'm going to walk away now, you're wrong. I want the truth." Jason paused, and for a long moment I thought he was going to walk out. But instead, he sat back, his shoulders slumping. "You have no idea who you're messing with, Mia," he whispered, his eyes full of something I couldn't place, fear, perhaps, or regret. "But if you want to know the truth, I'll tell you, but you have to be ready for it." Jason leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Mason Carlyle is part of a larger operation, and it's not just about money, it's about power, influence, and Ryan got mixed up in it. He thought he could make a quick buck, but now he's in over his head. So is Olivia." I froze, my mind racing. "Olivia, what do you mean?" "She's been targeted, Mia, by Mason and his people. She's been caught in the middle of this, and she doesn't even know it. She's been used. But she doesn't know how deep this goes. None of us do." I could barely comprehend what he was saying. Olivia had been involved in this. My own daughter. Was she really in danger? Jason continued, his voice full of regret. "I didn't want her to know. I didn't want you to know, but it's too late now. Mason's been watching all of us, and if you keep pushing, it won't just be Ryan who pays for this. It will be all of us." I took a step back, my mind reeling. The world I thought I knew was crumbling, and now my daughter was in the middle of something far more dangerous than I could ever have imagined. And the worst part, I had been blind to it all. Before I could respond, Jason stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "You need to leave, Mia. Now, I'm telling you it's not worth it. You don't want to go any further, trust me." But it was too late. The truth was out, and I wasn't going to back down. As Jason rushed out of the bar, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. This time there was no message, just a photo of Olivia. She was at a party, surrounded by people I didn't recognize, and in the background, Mason Carlyle. This wasn't just my fight anymore. It was a war, and I was going to win. The pieces were falling into place, but each revelation only brought more questions, more danger, more uncertainty. Mason Carlyle, Jason's cryptic warnings, Olivia's involvement, and Ryan, my husband, who had set everything in motion without even realizing it. I had been naive to think I could control it, that I could turn everything around. But I was done running from it. Whatever happened next, I wasn't backing down, not anymore. I couldn't shake the image of Olivia at that party, surrounded by strangers with Mason Carlyle looming in the background. My daughter, my flesh and blood, had been caught in something I had no control over. And the worst part? She was still in the dark. She didn't know the full extent of it. She had no idea what Mason had been pulling the strings of or how dangerous this had become. But I was going to make sure she found out. The only question was, how? Ryan had tried to contact me again. He left voicemail after voicemail, but I couldn't bring myself to listen. There was nothing left to say, nothing left for him to explain. The truth had come out and I couldn't go back to the way things were. But there was one more thing I needed to do. One final confrontation. With Ryan, with Olivia. And it had to happen today. The plan was simple. I would confront Ryan, demand the truth about everything, and expose Mason for who he was. But there was more at stake now, more than just my marriage. My family, my future, and Olivia's safety were all on the line. I called Olivia. No answer, I left a message. "Olivia, we need to talk. I've learned more than you know. We need to meet now. It's about Mason and it's about you." As I hung up, the weight of what I was about to do pressed down on me. I couldn't just sit back and let this happen. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about saving my daughter, about protecting her from a world she didn't even know existed. Ryan showed up at my door, just like I knew he would. He stood there, his hands stuffed in his jacket pockets, looking more like a man trying to convince himself he was still in control than someone who was ready to face the consequences of his actions. "I'm sorry, Mia. I've been wrong, but I can fix this. I swear I can." He looked at me with those pleading eyes, the ones that had always been able to convince me to give him another chance. But not this time. "Don't," I said, cutting him off. "Don't try to manipulate me, Ryan. I've heard enough. I was the one who fought for this family, for you. And now you've dragged me into this mess with Mason Carlyle, a man who's been pulling your strings the whole time. Do you even realize how deep you're in?" Ryan didn't say anything for a long time. His face was pale, as if he had been caught in a lie too big to escape from. But then he finally spoke. "I never meant for it to go this far, Mia. I didn't think Mason would. I didn't think he'd get so involved. He said he could help me, help us." "Help you?" I repeated, my voice rising with disbelief. "Help you destroy our family. Help you manipulate me into thinking everything was okay when you were lying to my face." Ryan stepped forward, his eyes desperate now. "Mia, I know it's hard to understand, but Mason has connections, powerful people. I thought we could be a part of it, be part of something bigger. I thought I could provide for us, for Olivia." I stared at him, the weight of his words sinking in. He hadn't just betrayed me. He had betrayed everything we stood for our family. And he had dragged Olivia into it without even realizing it. "It's too late for that," I said softly, stepping back. "You've already made your choices, and now we all have to live with them." Just then, Olivia called me back. I could hear the hesitation in her voice when she answered. "Mom! I'm sorry I didn't pick up earlier. What's going on?" I swallowed hard, my emotions threatening to overwhelm me. "Olivia, you need to come home. We need to talk. Now, it's about everything. Mason, your dad. It's all connected. You're in danger and you don't even know it." There was silence on the other end of the line. Then, finally, "I'll be there in 20 minutes." I hung up and turned to Ryan. "You need to leave. Olivia's coming home and we're going to talk about this. You don't get to hide behind excuses anymore. You're going to face what you've done." Ryan's face contorted with anger, but I didn't care anymore. I had lost him, and whatever we had left was too far gone to fix. I opened the door, motioning for him to leave. "Go, now." He didn't argue. He walked out without another word, and for the first time in months, I felt the weight of his presence lift. It wasn't over yet, but I was finally taking back control. Olivia arrived a few minutes later, her face tired, worried. She walked into the living room, looking between me and the empty space where Ryan had just stood. "Mom, what's going on? What did you mean when you said I'm in danger?" Her voice was shaky, but there was a strength in her eyes that I hadn't seen before. I looked at her, my heart breaking. She was still my daughter, the girl I had raised, but I couldn't protect her from this. Not anymore. "Olivia, I know you've been in the dark about a lot of things," I began, sitting her down beside me. "But you need to understand something. Mason Carlyle, he's not just some businessman, he's tied to something much bigger. And Ryan, he's been involved in all of it. They've been using you, and I didn't see it. I didn't see it until it was too late." Olivia's face paled. "What do you mean, Mom?" I took a deep breath, my voice steady despite the fear rising in my chest. "Mason been pulling the strings, Olivia. He's got connections that go beyond anything we can imagine. And Ryan got caught up in it. He thought he could protect us, provide for us. But he was just feeding into Mason's game." Olivia stared at me, her mind trying to process everything. She had no idea how deep this went, how much danger she was in. But she would know soon enough. "I never wanted you to be a part of this, Olivia," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "But now we have to fight back, together." As Olivia and I sat there, the room heavy with silence, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I opened the message. It was a photo of Olivia. This time, she was at the same party again, but in the background, Mason Carlyle stood next to a man I didn't recognize, and in his hand, a gun. My stomach dropped. The danger wasn't just coming from Mason anymore. It was coming straight for us. Who is Mason, really? And what's going to happen to Olivia now? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because everything is about to change. I will continue with my story in my next video. Let me know how you feel about my story.